We'll move on to the topic of extremism, which is never far from the news, or at least how extremism is defined. And over the last couple of weeks, I've referred to David Clues, who is running Unity News Network. And of course, he was in effect pilloried and victimised by the mainstream media for the way in which he treated, in a news reporting capacity, the violent disorder after the Southport killings. Now, I spoke to David, and there's going to be an interview published straight to the UK Column website later on this week. So I've just got a clip of him speaking to me. And my question to him was, where does he see this going? What is the end state as far as the government is concerned?
In an ideal world, they would shut down social media entirely, and you would just be stuck at home watching the BBC or ITV or Sky, and you'd be watching the approved titles. They simply do not want people having alternative sources of information, because if they do, people can then expose their scams and they can expose their lies. And we all have a track record over COVID. We have a track record of the war in Ukraine. We've got a track record over the conflict in Israel and Gaza. And we clearly don't like us because we provide a nuanced and balanced view. It's like they say, oh, they are conspiracy theorists. They're brainwashed. They say we're the ones that actually have a proper look at the situation and try and say, look, in every conflict, there's one side, there's another side, and there's other people, and this is some of the and they hate that.
So David Clues there really talking about the suppression of speech, the suppression of any kind of dissenting voice, which of course is now being labelled as extremist. And so therefore it's worth pointing out that on Monday it would have been, Yvette Cooper in the House of Commons talking about extremism. She says in a debate about violent disorder, I've been concerned for a long time that not enough is being done to counter extremism, including both Islamist extremism and far-right extremism, as there has been no proper strategy in place since 2015. And she goes on to say that she's ordered a rapid review of extremism to ensure that we have the strongest possible response to the poisonous ideologies that corrode community cohesion and fray the fabric of our democracy. Now, of course, what she really means by that is anyone that disagrees with either her or the government. So I'll just point out that the Free Speech Union, they probably have to be a bit careful about the language they use here, but they say they've threatened to take the Home Secretary to court over her plan to revive the perception-based version of the non-crime hate incident. Basically, Yvette Cooper wants what are called non-crime hate incidents, which are extraordinarily hard to define, but effectively do not represent a criminal offence. She wants them to be recorded. Interesting also that the graphic used shows a plastic test, which I think is the sort that was used for the COVID so-called pandemic. So we will watch to see which direction this goes in. Of course, we have all the enormous sort of wealth of material on where Lord Walney had been going with this for the previous government. And Mike's just going to round off this segment with a bit more about UK Column content.
Well, perhaps the Free Speech Union should read this article because it's just been posted on the UK Column website. Britain had the First Amendment first. This is Philip Ridley, and it's a fantastic article which goes through all the legal and constitutional background to where Britain's right to freedom of speech comes from, and in fact where the First Amendment in the United States derived from. So this is a very important article, and I do recommend everybody reads it and most importantly shares it, please.